The siege of Fort Stanwix took place in summer of 1777. It was part of a larger campaign by the British military to take over New York State and then divide and conquer the rest of the 13 colonies by way of its water-based systems. A force of about 2,500 people showed up here at this fort on August 2nd, 1777, comprised of 1,000 or so Indians who either lived in the area or fought in the area, Loyalists, American citizens born and raised who had decided that they would fight with the British, and about 200 or so actual British redcoats. They surrounded the fort, began to bombard it, and within several days, what was left of the local militia started to march this direction to save the fort. They were ambushed by the people attacking it, so as those men were being ambushed, this fort is still waiting, and during that ambush, what became known as the Battle of Oriskany, it became one of the bloodiest battles of the Revolutionary War, with more than half the people who were involved killed. The siege was over with. What was left of the British military, they had lost so much between the siege, between the ambush that they staged, and several other events that had taken place that they upped and left. The last day, August 23rd, I believe, was the official last day. Their commander had left so quickly that people digging trenches towards the fort had no clue that he was gone. And over the course of a month and a half, two major battles take place, and they are forced to surrender their army to the Americans. So the newest army in the world has just beat one of the best armies in the world. That helped lead to alliances with the French, the Dutch, the Spanish, that helped supply us for the rest of the war. And none of that would have happened necessarily if these soldiers here at this fort, the soldiers from New York and Massachusetts that were stationed here, had let these men slip by, and if the local militias had helped let these men slip by. Because otherwise it would have been the American army surrounded at Albany and not the British, and things could have turned out quite differently from that point.
Quite often later on in the war, when the British or the Indians would raid and attack the settlements in the Mohawk Valley, they wouldn't even get word here in the fort until it was all over and done with and there was nothing they could do about it. The actual army that was coming in for the siege, they got early warning of that, but that was mainly only because there was an American spy who was literally hiding in a tree watching them make the plans. Battles were very smoky back then. Everybody's using black powder smoke, which I don't know if you've ever seen it. One musket going off throws out a boom, big cloud of smoke. If you've got hundreds or even thousands of them going off, one or two volleys and you can't see anything. The only way you can tell who's on your side and who's not is by the blobs of color you're happening to see in front of you. That was one reason the British ended up with those nice bright red coats, is in the wars they had, they found the red was very easy to see and distinguish on the battlefield. At the time, everybody's using the same equipment, the same style of uniforms, the same tactics. The only way to tell the difference is the color uniform. There were some of the officers who had been veterans would just teach what they thought the men should know. And you'd get out in the battle and the senior commanders would give one order and it would be carried out 6 or 7 different ways.